Whoa, pretty nice fish. Pretty nice fish. What is that water temperature got up to? 84. We have a really, really strange situation going on today. Boy, that's a good fish. Great way to start right there. Great way to start right there. Oh, little RC Classic square bill. It's a great fall bait, but we've got a strange situation right now. I don't know what's going to happen today. I don't know what we're going to catch, if we're going to catch anything. Well, I know we're going to catch one. I'm pretty confident of that. But we had some really nice early fall weather come in here, and the water temperature went from above 90 to 78 degrees. That's a nice fish right there. That's a good way to start. Nice 2.5 pound chunk probably. And the water temperature went from above 90 down to 78 degrees, 78 degrees. And the fish got extremely active. I mean, you know, they started moving in. We thought the fall feed was on. What happens in the fall of the year is the bass will move in and they feed up in the fall because a lot of the fish don't eat much in the wintertime. Now, bass don't hibernate, but they get to where, particularly big fish, they might only eat something like once every 3 or 4 days. And so you really don't have much of an opportunity to catch big fish in the wintertime unless you put the bait right on their nose from a feeding standpoint. Now, you can catch them, you know, where they'll do a reaction strike or something like that in the winter, not nearly as much as when the water's warmer. But they move in and they start feeding, and they have what we call the fall feed. Normally that's on shad and bluegill, baby bass. They eat anything they can catch, to be honest with you. Oh, there's a fish, there's a fish, there's a fish. Come here, baby. Ooh, that's a pretty nice little fish too. Not a giant, but it's a pretty nice fish. That little square bill. Got a little cloud cover, man, that helped. It's hot out here, I mean burning hot, but one of the things, oh, look at that fish, that's a nice one. One of the things about these high humidity days, if you get a little cloud cover, getting the shade a little bit, it makes a huge difference. Come here, baby doll. Oh, yeah. What I'm talking about. This is a little RC3 crankbait that I'm using. I need to lay my needle nose up on my cooler. That way they're nice and handy there. What they might ought to do is put some needle nose holders on the side of these. Well, you could have your cooler there and you'd be able to keep your needle nose and your scissors and your cutters and everything. That's a bass about the same size as that last one I caught. That little RC3 crankbait is a little square bill. I've got kind of I don't know what they call that color, but it's a beautiful, beautiful color, kind of a crawfish, but it's blue and chartreuse. Just about every shad that you see will have blue and chartreuse in them. And if you look at them, then you hold them up and you move them around in the sunshine, they will show off it's a little blue and chartreuse and purple tint. And so that's just a great color. I picked that color for a lot of what I'm using. That's kind of an unusual combination of it. This little crankbait is an RC3. I don't know exactly how deep it runs, but probably, depending on your line size, you're going to be able to get about 4 or 5 feet out of it. It's made for shallow water fishing, but we've got kind of dingy water we're fishing today, so the fish can still see that bait 8 or 10 feet away and they'll come and get it. Not a bad little fish, doesn't look like. Oh, it's a nice one. Oh, pretty down there in that green water. Green bass in the green water. That bait, like I said, is only running about 3 foot deep. I got about 15-pound high seas line on here. He just barely hooked. I'm gonna try to swing him. Oh yeah, ooh, that's a lot nicer than those other ones. That's a nice fish right there. That is a very nice fish. Barely hooked, but I had one hook in him. Looky there. He's stuck a vein in its lip. That's unusual. He's bleeding just a little bit. Got a fat belly. I don't see anything sticking out. So that's a nice fish right there. That's a good one. Nothing wrong with that one. We're beginning to get a little cloud cover coming in. You know, one of the things about having really hot weather is you got a chance of thunderstorms. And so I don't know what the forecast is, but I would say those clouds rolling around, if they gather up, we could have some big thunderstorms in here. I'm doing a lot of cranking. That grass right there is called Illinois pondweed, and I've been thinking about throwing a worm out there on the edge of it, and I was just about to reach down and tie me a worm on something, Maybe put me one of those sneaky stakes or baby hueys on or something like that, fishing the edge of that. But you can see there that up close to the water, up close to the bank, it's coming up on top. Those bass will get down and it creates a lot of shade, but down underneath it, it comes out and it'll eventually mix into coontail moss. I mean, I got that much line out, about 5 or 6 rods. When I pull that bait up, ooh, he's still fighting hard. I got my button pushed now, getting a little line. And I'm not concerned about him breaking my high seas line, but I am concerned about him pulling off. That's why I'm giving him a little line, just not pulling too hard against him, because that last one I had just barely hooked. I haven't got a good look at him to see how he's hooked, but it's a pretty nice fish. Not giant fish, but pretty nice fish. Oh, there we go. He's hooked just like that other one. He's got one hook in him, and that's all, one hook. He's not nearly as large as that other fish was, but he'll do. Listen, I caught that fish with about 5 foot of line out, maybe 6, about the length of my rod. This rod, I think, is 6.5 foot, about the length of it. And what I did is when I'm fishing a crankbait, really I do it with just about every bait, but once I get that bait up here and I crank it up, I get close to the boat, I'll always stop right by the boat. That way, if you got a fish that's following that up, when you stop, that gives you an opportunity to get a hold of it. Actually, I think you ought to do it a plastic worm or spinnerbait, anything you're fishing. Once you get up close to the boat, just pause for a second. Doesn't take long. They'll get it quick if they're close by. But just pause a little bit. Get in the habit of pausing right when you get up close to the boat with any bait that you're throwing. Doesn't matter what bait it is. 2 of them right there. I mean, he hit right on my rod tip, right on my rod tip. Nice fish, too. Good bass, just barely hooked. Good fish. There's another one down there. There was one coming up with him, same size he was. Oh, I say barely hooked. He's got the thing all the way down his throat. He's got every hook in him. I could pull him all the way back to the boat ramp. He couldn't get off. And as he fell off, as Jimmy lifted him in the boat, he did not fall off. Look at there. He's got all 6 treble hooks hung in his face. Oh, my goodness. Well, not really. Got some of all of them, some of both of them in there, though. I thought I had a needle nose laying there. Where are you, needle nose? All right, if I can get this. This is only one over here. He was intending on eating that thing. He was getting it away from that other bass. Now I'm gonna fool around in here and maybe be able to catch that other fish. I might throw a worm or something in there and be able to catch that other fish. Nothing in his throat, but he's a nice, healthy, beautiful bass. That's a pretty fish right there. I don't care who you are. Now let's see if we can get that other one. There was one more with him. You know, sometimes we go down to Mexico to lakes like Comodero or Pacachos with my buddy Ron Speed Jr. and we find a spot and you'll catch maybe a really big fish, 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 pounds, and there might be 7 or 8 or 9 of those giants. Oh, Jimmy! Oh, Jimmy! Oh, Jimmy! Look what I did. That's what I get for sitting down. Look at that. That is not good, sports fans. Did that ever happen to you? Has that ever happened to you? Has this ever happened to you? That is so terrible. I sat down here like an idiot. I caught a big bass. Sat down here, and I sat down here, and I thought, well, I'll just make a few throws back in there. Don't want to run my trolling motor and scare them. Forgot all about that tree. My lure's hung in the tree, but this is what's bad right here. I'm going to be able to get my lure back because it's right here beside the boat. But Lord of mercy, look at this mess. So far, so good. As long as it keeps turning, I'm in business. If it ever stops, I'm in trouble. Keep going, baby. Keep going, baby. Keep going, baby. Oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Looky there. I knew that wasn't bad. I knew I wasn't going to be hung up bad there. Okay, how lucky can you get? If I can just get it wound back. I've only got 5,000 yards of line on here. Get out of that tray. Ow! Ow! This is terrible. I got monofilament line wrapped around that thing about 47, 11 times. Okay, now I'm gonna catch that fish. I bet that's never happened to you. I just about did it again. Look at that right there. I got about 20 rods out. I tried a drop shot. I tried a plastic worm. I tried a deep crankbait, deep smoothie. I hadn't had a bite on anything. Look at that. Look at that. Pick that spinnerbait up. Look at that. Look at that. First cast with a spinnerbait. It might be the biggest one of the day, too. Old camo rod there. Jimmy Houston camo rod. Everybody needs a camo rod. Well, he's not the biggest one of the day. He's the biggest one I've had in the last 3 hours. He's the only one I've had in the last 3 hours. Ha, 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 ha. Spinnerbait bass, by golly. Wonder what Jimmy's going to do from now till dark. I swear it's been 3 hours since I had a bite. And I've tried bait after bait after bait after bait. Pick that spinnerbait, throw it out there, and I didn't crank it. I almost saw it coming through the air almost. I cranked it like 5 cranks. Like 5 cranks. I'm over a lot of grass right here. I know those bass probably when that water temperature's got up hot and it's raised, like I said, it was down to 78, now it's up to 86. It's come up that much. God, looky, there's another one. Holy cow, Jimmy. This game's easy to play. Holy cow. Holy cow. All I had to do was pick my spinnerbait up. That's a nice fish. Oh, yeah, it's a nice bass. Oh, yeah, look at, oh, come in this boat with me. Woo-hoo. Look at that one. Oh, yeah, that is the biggest one of the day. That is the biggest one of the day right there. Ah, that is the biggest bass of the day. Look at that fish. That is a dandy. Mwah. I've made about 5 casts with this spinnerbait, and I swear, I went 3 or 4 hours without a fish, and I picked that spinnerbait up. I made about 5 casts with it. I don't know. Look at that. Is that nice or what? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to catch any more or not, but that baby hit it right up on top of the water. Right on top of the water. Good lands, Jimmy. Maybe I just got in a good spot. I don't know. I ought to throw my crankbait over there and see if they'll bite it. Yeah, right. I ought to throw my crankbait over there. Looky there. Looky there. Looky there. Looky there. Another big one. Golly, looky there. This is as good as that last one, I believe. Maybe bigger. Maybe bigger. Look at that. Oh, that's a nice fish. That's a good fish right there. Holy cow. Oh, goodness. That's the best one right there. That's the biggest one of the day right there. Look at that. Look at that, sports fans. That Jimmy Houston legend spinnerbait in his mouth. Look at that fish, will you? Will you look at that fish? That's a 5-pound bass. That's a 5-pound bass. Hey, you know, we learn this all the time when we tournament fish. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? We learn this all the time when we tournament fish. That, you know, they're always catching them. Fish are always biting. People are always catching them. And I have just been, the last 3 or 4 hours, and it's so hot out here. You know, I mean, it's like, it's really, really hot. And it just got, you know, no bites. I went to drop shots. I went to a big worm. I went to a small worm. Tried a deep crankbait. Kept picking up my little RC3 and throwing it. I picked up that spinnerbait. I have not made 10 throws with that spinnerbait. Have not made 10 throws with it. And have had 3 bass grab it. I'm going to ease back over in that area right over there. It might be the spot. There might just be a wad of them in that area. I don't know. Oh, it's a bluegill hitting it. I like to have a heart attack. Gee whiz. Is that amazing or is that amazing? Pick your spinnerbait up and fish it, Jimmy. That fish bit me. Is my lip bleeding? Huh? Is that bleeding? Huh? Is that bleeding? Blood. I taste blood. You have to watch those 5-pound girls. I can taste the blood. I know it's bleeding. Had some sharp teeth. Log. Another big one come off that log right there. There's a log, underwater log. I didn't even see it till I got right up here by it. Just I come over it, he come right out of that. See that log under the water there? Come, oh, now he's trying to get back in the log. Don't get back in the log. Another big one too. Another big one. Now those are Those are maybe the 4 biggest fish I've caught. Look how fat that fish is. Look at that fish. Holy cow, look at that fish. He's huge. Look at the belly on that booger. He must have swallowed a 2-pound fish or something. Oh, he's got a big crawfish tail sticking out. No, a bit whiskers sticking out. He's got whiskers. He must have 3 or 4 big old crawfish in him. Look at that guy. Look at his belly. His belly bigger than Bill Dance's. Don't you bite me. Yeah, you got a little blood on your lips now. From me. Oh, man, that's the 4 best fish I've caught all day. I've caught right here in the last 10 minutes. Absolutely incredible. There's a log laying right there under the water. I couldn't even see the log until I got right up close by it. I just moved my rod over and brought the spinnerbait by it, and he jumped out there and grabbed it. Beautiful. I mean, a gorgeous, gorgeous strike. I would just about said about an hour ago, they're just not biting. They're just not biting. Well, they were biting. I was in the wrong spot. Mostly, I was throwing the wrong bait. The legend spinnerbait strikes again. Oh, there's another one. Oh, that's a big one. Oh, that's a big one. Oh, that's a big one. I gotta get him out of that tree. I got him. Holy cow. I just kept pressure on him when he got it. Coming up. Ah, it's another big one. Ah, goodness. Look at the size of that fish. Oh, my goodness. Oh, get this boat. Oh, goodness sakes. Another dandy. Look at that fish. Wow. Goodness. I've caught a 5-fish limit that weigh quite a bit. I don't know how much. I didn't weigh them. In the last 10 minutes. On that spinnerbait. That's a pretty nice fish right there. Oh, nice chunk. Look at the belly on that thing. Man, these fish have been so fat for September. Those things haven't fed for the spring yet, so they're really, really fat. They've been eating a lot of shad and crawfish and everything else. That's right where I caught that one a minute ago, right off that log. I hadn't replaced it, and there's another one in there too, because I saw another one. Did you see that strike? Holy moly. It's a big one too. It's a big one. Holy cow, what a strike. Oh, he's trying to pull me out of the lake. Holy cow, what a strike. Oh, that's the biggest one of the day. I'm gonna get down there and get this fish. Come here, baby. I don't think I want to swing this one. Fish. Oh, the sun's below the mountain. He's in the grass. He got in the grass. Oh, he's out of the grass. Oh, there's the big fish of the day right there. There's the big fish of the day. Oh, that's a good one right there. Well over 5 pounds. Probably pretty close to 6. Really big, healthy fish. I mean, that is absolutely a dandy. What a day we've had out here. It's just about dark. We've had just an outstanding day. Caught them on that RC3 square bill crankbait. Caught them pretty good this morning and hit a period of, I'm talking hours. When we couldn't get a bite. And then we get down here late in the evening in the last little bit, I've caught, I don't know, I think 8 or 10 fish. And they're the biggest fish that we caught all day. 3/8 ounce Jimmy Houston Legend spinnerbait. And what does that deserve after you straighten it out? Sugar, sugar, sugar. I love this game. Oh, I love this game. Well, what do you do when you can't catch them? What do you do when what you're catching them on early in the morning quits working and you just can't catch them? Well, by golly, you keep trying. That's the most important thing. The other thing that I really believe is that try big baits, try little baits, try different depths, try different speeds. But the key thing you want to do when you get in trouble is go back to your strong suit. If your strong suit happens to be a plastic worm, go back to a plastic worm. If your strong suit happens to be a crankbait, go back to a crankbait. If your strong suit happens to be a spinnerbait, go back to a spinnerbait. A spinnerbait is one of those kind of baits that you can fish all kind of different depths, all different times of the year. It doesn't matter. Spring, winter, fall, summer, Easter, Indian summer, 4th of July, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can fish a spinnerbait, but think about your strong suit in fishing. And when it gets really, really tough, go to your strong suit. Here's the other thing you want to do is go to the heaviest possible cover you can find that's near deep water. And if you know of an area where two things come together, you know, where a creek runs into a ditch, or two ditches come together, or two rivers come together. If you know of anything like that where you have some deep water structure that comes up into heavy cover, up in shallow water structure, go search out those kind of areas, because they almost always will have fish, and eventually they will bite. The other thing is, the best tip of all in bass fishing, go early, stay late. Go early, stay late. Mama, don't start the stakes. I'm still fishing.